Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today,
Let's get into it.
we are diving deep into the origins of everyday phrases that we use all the time.
Absolutely.
And trust me, their origins are anything but everyday.
You're not kidding.
So get ready for some urine, cockfights, even a bit of ancient Jewish ritual, all hiding in plain sight in the words we use every single day.
I mean, it's fascinating how language evolves, isn't it?
It really is.
It's like these phrases are carrying little pieces of history tucked away within them.
Okay, let's unpack our first phrase.
All right.
Black Friday.
Ooh.
Now, I know when you hear that, you think deals.
Deals.
Shopping frenzy.
Maybe a touch of anxiety if you've ever braved the crowds.
Yes, definitely.
But the origin story, it's a bit darker than a discounted flat screen.
It really is. It actually starts in Philadelphia in the 1960s.
And it had nothing to do with sales. Imagine the day after Thanksgiving. Already chaotic.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But amplify it.
Amplify.
You're talking massive crowds, traffic jams.
Yeah.
Basically utter mayhem.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia police, trying to describe this yearly eruption, started calling it Black Friday.
Wow, so not exactly the marketing goldmine it is today.
Exactly. Shop owners back then definitely weren't thrilled with that association.
I bet not.
But here's where it gets really interesting. As shopping on that day caught on, and we're talking massive sales, those accounting ledgers, they were once filled with the red ink of loss.
Yeah.
Well, they started swimming in black. The color of pure profit and with the stroke of marketing genius. Those same shop owners who once dreaded the term decided to reclaim it.
Wow. So Black Friday went from a police term for post-Thanksgiving pandemonium to a retail bonanza.
Yes.
All thanks to a clever semantic flip.
That's the power of words, right? They can shift.
They can.
And change meaning as time goes on.
Okay, ready for a curveball?
Get me.
Let's talk soccer.
Right.
Now, most of the world calls it football.
Yeah.
But here in the U.S., soccer reigns supreme.
That's right.
And you know what? It's all thanks to those slang-loving Brits.
You know it's true. Back in the day, university students in England were big on adding to words as slang.
I can see that.
And to separate football from rugby football, they started calling it association football. Then shortened it to a sock. You can guess what happened next.
What happened?
Ossock became a soccer with their signature
Oh, wow.
Eventually streamlined to just soccer.
Wow. So we get soccer from a soccer.
From a soccer.
And here's the kicker. Americans didn't invent the term.
Nope.
But we certainly embraced it.
Yeah. Soccer stuck with us while the rest of the world largely went back to just plain football.
Interesting.
Makes you wonder, is it stubbornness? Or is there something about that snappy, distinctly American term that just fits?
Right. Now let's go for something a bit more indulgent. The full Monty.
Right.
What pops into your head when you hear that? Probably getting everything.
Everything.
The whole package, right.
Full shebang.
But one of the most popular theories for this phrase origin, it's all thanks to a very particular field marshal and his breakfast.
Really?
Yes.
I would love to hear about this.
Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, a big name in World War II, apparently had a reputation for being quite specific about his breakfast. We're talking the full spread.
Yeah.
Every morning.
So ordering the full Monty became like channeling this field marshal's breakfast demands. Wanting everything. No compromises.
That's the idea. It evolved from a very specific military breakfast to encompass any situation where you're going all out, holding nothing back.
I love it.
Speaking of food, let's tackle a phrase that's as familiar as your dinner plate. 3 square meals. Ever stop to think why square? What does geometry have to do with eating?
Right.
Well, the answer lies in the history of the word square itself.
Interesting. So back in the day, square had a completely different meaning.
Yeah.
It meant honest or solid. Picture this. British Navy, sailors needing hearty, substantial meals to fuel their days at sea.
Yeah.
Those meals served on those sturdy, often square-shaped wooden plates. Became known as square meals.
So 3 square meals a day wasn't about the shape of the food, but the integrity of the meal itself.
That's right.
It's fascinating how a word's meaning can shift so drastically over time.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what other words we use today have secret histories hidden in plain sight.
All right, ready for a phrase that's a little less savory? We're talking piss poor.
Ooh, okay.
Now, I'm going to guess you haven't had to resort to selling your urine lately.
Not lately.
No. But in medieval England, that was a reality for some families.
It's true. It all goes back to leather tanning.
Okay.
Tanners used urine to treat those animal hides.
Really?
And believe it or not, poor families would sell their urine to these tanners to make ends meet.
So piss poor literally meant being so destitute that selling your urine was a necessity.
That's right.
It really paints a stark picture of poverty back then.
It does.
And it gets even more vivid with that related saying.
What's that?
Didn't have a pot to piss in.
Oh, yeah.
Literally meaning someone was so poor they couldn't even afford a container.
These phrases, though uncomfortable to think about, offer us a glimpse into the realities of those times.
Now let's shift gears to a phrase we're all too familiar with in our modern deadline-driven lives. Deadline.
All right.
What could prisons possibly have to do with deadlines?
Yeah, I'm curious.
More than you might think.
Right.
We're going back to the 19th century to a time where prisons had a very literal deadline. Imagine a line drawn around the prison perimeter.
Yeah.
Not a suggestion, not a guideline.
Right.
A literal line that, if crossed by a prisoner, meant immediate and severe consequences, being shot. No questions asked.
Wow.
It was a stark boundary, a matter of life or death.
Yeah.
That's how serious crossing that deadline was.
Wow.
So that literal line, that boundary between safety and deadly consequence, evolved into the metaphorical deadline we use today. Wow. The sense of urgency, the potential for negative repercussions.
Yeah.
If you cross that line, it all carries through.
Wow.
From those prison yards to our modern inboxes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's a powerful example of how language can evolve.
It is.
Carrying the weight of his past into the present.
Speaking of weighty concepts, let's dive into the scapegoat.
Oh, okay.
This one takes us back to ancient Jewish rituals.
Okay.
Where a goat played a very specific and, let's be honest, not so enviable role.
It's a powerful image, really.
It is.
In these rituals, a goat was chosen to symbolically carry the sins of the entire community.
Wow.
They would literally place the sins upon this goat.
Oh, wow.
Imbuing it with the burden of their wrongdoings.
And then they just let it roam free.
Not exactly. The goat, carrying the weight of all those sins, was cast out into the wilderness.
Wow.
It became the embodiment of everything the community wanted to get rid of.
Wow.
Taking the blame for them.
And that image, that act of placing blame on another, is how scapegoat came to mean what it does today.
That's right.
It's not just about making a mistake.
Right.
It's about someone being unfairly burdened with the blame for the actions of others.
The concept of the scapegoat is unfortunately not confined to ancient rituals.
Right.
It still plays out today.
Yeah.
In all sorts of ways, from personal relationships to politics.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder that language doesn't just reflect history. It reflects the human condition.
Yeah.
The good and the bad.
Okay, let's lighten the mood a bit.
Yeah, please.
We've talked about urine and scapegoats.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something a little more relatable.
All right.
Throwing everything you own into a chaotic mess.
Everything but the kitchen sink.
Exactly.
It conjures up an image of utter chaos, doesn't it?
It does.
But the origin of this phrase,
yeah,
it's surprisingly resourceful.
I'm intrigued.
It takes us back to World War II.
Okay.
Metal was incredibly scarce.
Yeah.
Needed for the war effort.
Yeah.
People were encouraged to donate any and all metal items they could spare.
I can imagine that was pretty much everything metal in the house.
Exactly. Pots, pans, silverware, anything and everything.
Yeah.
But the kitchen sink, that was usually the one item people just couldn't part with.
Yeah.
It was too essential.
Too essential.
So the phrase, everything but the kitchen sink, emerged.
Okay.
Signifying a truly complete and utter donation.
So from wartime resourcefulness to modern-day chaos, it's fascinating how that sentiment of giving everything, holding nothing back, has carried through. It's like a little linguistic time capsule.
It is. That's the beauty of language, isn't it?
Yeah.
It carries these echoes of the past within it.
Yeah.
Often in the most unexpected ways.
All right. Ready for another World War II connection?
Let's do it.
This one's got a bit of mystery to it. The whole 9 yards.
Right.
9 yards of what? Well, hold on to your hats, because this one involves fighter planes and a whole lot of ammunition.
Oh, wow.
Those World War II fighter planes had ammunition belts.
Oh.
That measured, you guessed it,
what?
9 yards long.
Wow. So Giving the whole 9 yards originally meant a pilot firing every single bullet on their plane.
You got it.
That's incredible.
When a pilot went all out in an aerial battle, expending every last bit of firepower, they were said to have given the whole 9 yards.
I love it.
That's incredible. From a very specific measurement of ammunition to a general expression of giving it your all.
Yeah.
It's amazing how language can adapt and evolve like that.
It's almost like a game of telephone, isn't it?
Yeah.
The message gets passed down through generations, shifting and changing, but always retaining a core element of its original meaning.
Yeah. Well, folks, we've covered some serious linguistic ground here in part 1.
We have.
But we're just getting started.
I'm ready for more.
Stick around for part 2, where we'll uncover even more fascinating origins hiding in those everyday phrases we take for granted.
Yeah, I'm excited.